Hi guys, good morning. This is Dan. Welcome to Engelgeist. For those of you that are new, welcome back. Or I'm sorry, welcome. For those of you that are returning, welcome back. And for those of you that support me over on Patreon, thank you so very much for your subscriptions. Um, if you're interested in supporting the channel in that way, you can go to patreon.com and look up Engelgeist and choose a subscription level over there. And then you can see the daily forecast a day early. Also get special readings over there that are only available on that page, depending on what subscription level you choose. If you're interested in a private reading, you can message me at my Facebook business page, and I can answer any questions you may have in regards to that. If you're watching on YouTube, please go over and follow my Facebook business page, and vice versa. If you're seeing this somewhere on Facebook, please feel free to go over to my YouTube channel and give me a thumbs up on the video or a subscribe so that you get notified when I do other either live videos or other content. So let's get into the forecast. I say the same things day in and day out. I sound a bit like a broken record, and I know those of you that watch regularly know all this stuff, but I kind of recite it over and over just for people that may stumble across the channel and not know sort of how things work. So here we go. Today is the Sunday reading. It is both a microcosm and macrocosm reading. It signifies both what we could be experiencing on Sunday, but it also, we do a few extra cards to kind of give us a view into the week, right? So we're looking at sort of, just a little bit of what the energy may or may not be for us for the week of November 8th through the 14th. Now, because this is a broad spectrum reading for the greater collective, I believe, and the message is intended with the, idea of finding, hopefully the highest good or what's available to us, what we need to be made aware of. I believe that these messages are timeless. They can find us at different times than when they were originally created for. So if you're watching this on a date that falls on, that's not necessarily within those dates, don't worry. That doesn't mean it's wrong or bad. You can still watch it and utilize it however you see fit. If you do choose to utilize it and you make decisions after having watched this video in your personal life, those decisions would be your responsibility. If anything doesn't resonate or doesn't make sense, don't worry. It doesn't necessarily mean anything's wrong. It just means that you're working on something different than maybe the majority of the people that may be watching this video. And that's completely fine, okay? So let's see what's going on this week. Each card is going to represent for about a day or two of the week. I do 3 cards for a 7-day period, I believe, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, 7-day period from the 8th to the 14th, from Sunday to Saturday. And some of you might experience only one of these cards. Some of you might experience all 3 of these cards and then some. It's really sort of flexible. So kind of take what you need and leave the rest, sort of thing. It's just kind of to give you hopefully like a guidepost of what may or may not happen. And nothing I say too, just as another aside, I say this sometimes, I definitely say this to my private reading clients, nothing I say should be taken as like, the gospel, right? It's, there's always room for free will, choice, change, so all of these cards can be sort of, for lack of a better word, manipulated or altered through our own thoughts, our own choices, our own actions. So nothing is ever sort of set in stone. That's the beauty of this universe, is it's constantly evolving, and with flexibility, and hell, we could all decide to get on a plane and move to Paris tomorrow, and that would greatly affect outcomes, right? All right, so let's see. And I just say that as an example. None of you are moving to Paris as far as I know, so. I've never even been to Paris as much as I would like to go. If somebody would get their shit together and take me, hey. We'd have a good time. All right, let's see what's going on. All right, so our first card for the week is the Empress. She is back. These cats, they're not messing with us. I think that these cats are wanting to deliver big messages. I think that my feeling is this, with all of these major arcana and court cards kind of stuff that's going on from last week's reading, and if you didn't see it, the Empress showed up last week, I want to say in the midweek, didn't she? Oh no, sorry, she showed up last Monday. The Empress is always about fertility, creativity, new birth, divine feminine, definitely one of the most feminine cards in the deck. And when I say feminine, I usually attribute that to things like, you know, the natural instincts of the sort of feminine nature, which would be to like to mother things, to nurture things, to care for things. Not to say that the masculine doesn't, right? The masculine cares in different sort of um, ways, right? And so to me, this feminine, or this empress, she's all about the planet Venus, which is the planet of love, and usually associated with the sign of Taurus, which can be a very grounded sign, a very productive sign, a very methodical, sometimes stubborn sign, right? I don't see the empress as a stubborn card. I feel like she does have a look of determination on her face as far as a cat is concerned. I don't know if you guys see that, but she's looking to the future. She's being smart. She might be a little bit annoyed. Like, I do feel like for some of you, there could be a little bit of a bother or an annoyance going on as you're looking at maybe, I don't know, the world around you, what's going on around you, how it all fits. But I think that ultimately the Empress is a really beneficial card. She's a lovely card. She's about bringing new ideas to fruition. She's about sort of really harboring and educating those ideas, or nurturing them in such a way that they really begin to bear fruit and take shape. And that's sort of that idea of fertility, right? That idea of giving birth to something new. For some of you, I mean, the Empress can like literally mean birth, right? Like pregnancy. But I don't necessarily know that that's the case. I'm not necessarily feeling that, but if I get sort of one random watcher that's pregnant in the early part of this week and dealing with that, more power to you. Imbue that pregnancy with all the nurturing and love and tenderness that you need to. Now, when I'm looking at this, I sort of feel like we are empowered. The Empress is certainly a powerful position card, right? She's not weak, she's not frail, she's not, what's the word? I kind of feel like, in a weird way, to me, the Empress the Queens feel more active to me than the Empress, and I don't know why this is the case or why I'm going down this trend, this sort of thought pattern right now, but I am going to say this. The Empress works with what she has, right? She knows how to make abundance out of sort of the parameters within what she works, where I feel like the Queens of the court cards, like Queen of Wands, Queen of Swords, Queen of Cups, they all work within their element to sort of like, you know, maybe make things happen, right? The Empress is more well-rounded than that, right? She understands that even if there's limitations in her world, that doesn't stop her. She still sort of sits on this red throne, because I know that in this deck particularly, MJ CULLINANE, the author or the artist of this deck, that throne is to represent sort of royalty, richness, abundance that this cat sits on. And so to me, it feels like even though there might be chaos in the world, or we're dealing with situations that maybe are coming from a place of lack, fear, doubt, whatever, the Empress doesn't have to like sort of sink to that level, right? So if we find ourselves being challenged, or people around us are being challenged by their own lives, their own situations, or they're getting caught up in the drama of whatever they're looking at, you know, maybe on Facebook, on the news, whatever. The Empress doesn't have to sort of sink to that. She can sort of stay in this sort of Venusian, I don't even know if Venusian is a word, like Venusian, I don't know. This love of the, you know, like the planet Venus, right? And that love, that steadiness that represents as Taurus, which is associated with the planet of Venus, right? That strength and sort of steadiness. There's definitely a power to her, right? So whatever we want, even if we're slightly, and I don't know why, but I feel like this Siamese cat, she didn't feel annoyed to me last week. This week she feels a little bit annoyed. Some of us might be a little bit perturbed with maybe people in our immediate environment, situations we have to deal with. It almost feels like when I look at this cat, it's a little bit beneath her, right? Not from a place of attitude, but we're like, oh God, this again? Like, are we really seriously having to do this? But we can, and we can do it from a place of sort of maturity, right? The Empress would represent that to me too. We can do it from a place of authority. We can do it from a place of love and compassion. That's the Venus energy of the Empress. And we can also still make this situation, whether it feels like it's working for us or against us, if it feels like it's working against us or not in line with who we really are and the energy that this Empress has, we can make it rise to the occasion. Does that make sense? Through our own love, our own ability to nurture it, our own ability to believe in the possibility of whatever it is that we're trying to change or work on in this situation, okay? And for each of you, it's going to be a different situation, right? So you're going to have to figure out where what I'm talking about fits into your life. That's sort of the thing. I don't want to be too direct or too specific, because I want this reading to hopefully benefit and help as many people as possible. So each of you, whatever you might be looking at, and I would say a signifier of it might be some sort of annoyance or frustration with it. You may not be voicing that. The Empress doesn't feel like she's being super vocal when I look at this card. It doesn't look like we're out there bitching and complaining. We're going, okay, how do I love this situation and change it into what I need it to be? And I like that about this, right? It's more of a motherly, um, uh, adult or mature way of handling things. Knowing, like, as I look at this card, I sort of feel like this cat knows she's going to be okay no matter what happens, no matter what sort of the outcome is. So sitting in that and really owning that. All right, so the next card, or the midweek card, is going to be the King of Swords. Love it. All right. So the King of Swords is all about the element of air, right? He's similar to the Queen. He's just a little bit more evolved, I would say. The Queen is a little bit more, emotional, because Queens represent the element of cups, right? So, and the Queen is very clear thinking. We had the Queen last week also. The King is here, so he's just a little bit, slightly above and a little bit more, I would say, intellectual or detached in a way, right? When I look at this king, kings represent swords upon swords, right? So we're talking about doubling down on this decisive nature, this clarity, this truth telling, whatever it is that is our truth. We want to sit in that. We want to be in that. I feel like this king looking straight at us is in the present moment. That's why he's not sort of looking to the past or to the future. We're looking at the present moment as it is. The one thing that I like about this is if we have this sort of black crow flying into the future, right? To me, crows represent law or the truth in a way, right? And so this feels to me like there is something that this king knows. There's something that we know in our present moment, that if we hold true to it, we stand true by it, we stay seated on our throne, and we live from that truth. It's unwavering. It will empower us. It will move us forward. Again, from a position of authority, from a position of security, right? But we have to trust it. We can't let like sort of outside stuff rock us. And the reason why I say that is we've got all of these mountains sort of in the background. Like the environment is kind of trying to come in. It is trying to affect us. It is trying to shake us at our foundation maybe a little bit. But our foundation is strong with this like sort of either cement or marble throne that he sits on. It's not even as cushy as this fabric one that the Empress is on. This is a more stable throne even. The poppies, I believe poppies represent, it's not new beginnings, but I believe it's growth for MJ. I can't remember. But the poppies to me also represent that idea that there is opportunity to grow. There is beauty around us. And that's especially the peacock too. There's a little bit of, finding the beautiful within the ordinary or within what's going on around us, right? Not seeing sort of the barren landscape or the struggles. Yes, they exist. We know that they exist, but the clouds begin to part. We look at things more intellectually through our own intelligence, through our own clear decision making, through our own sort of present state of mind, and we are able to see sort of, the beauty that is there, right? We might now and I'm going to say this too, this peacock isn't in full plumage, right? Where his tail is up and we can see all the beauty of the peacock. That's maybe where we may not see all of the beauty of whatever's going on in our environment in the midweek, but we have to kind of look for it and acknowledge what beauty is there, which this peacock is beautiful, right? And I'm using the peacock as a metaphor, guys. So wherever we can find the beauty, search it out, seek it out, be logical, be smart, be decisive, and hold true to your decisions, right? Whatever they may be. But do it from a state of being like present, aware, and then looking for the beauty in things. Looking for that, not sort of like the struggle or the tribulations. Look for the sort of, I don't know, like sort of, I want to talk about like honor for some reason. The word honor keeps popping into my head. Like, what is the honorable thing here? And knowing that truth and then acting from that place. And that brings also about the beauty and the growth that we see in these poppies and the beauty that we see in this peacock, right? Where we can be proud of who we are, what we stand for, and what we believe, right? Versus, getting messy, right? This isn't like, say, the Nine of Swords or the Five of Wands, where we're in there competing and fighting it out and duking it out. We are actually sort of rising above. That's what I get with this Empress and this King, is it's sort of like holding ourselves to a standard that we can be proud of this week. All right, so the next card, or the final end of the week card, is the Page of Pentacles. I like this guy. He's like kind of playing around in the trees. So pages always represent sort of this opportunity for youthfulness, exuberance, enthusiasm. Pentacles is the element of earth, of material, sort of abundance or manifestation. Pentacles can sometimes represent wealth or the building of wealth. For those of you that might be trying to work on things that are monetarily focused, I think that some of those things might start to actually show fruition for you towards the end of the week. There's still a learning curve that's to be had. But what I love is the clarity that we see in this King of Swords, right? And these poppies that begin to bloom here in the midweek seem to like flourish. We've also got very similar flowers here in the Empress that show up here. So the things that what this tells me is that the things that we're working on and that we're focusing on and that we're nurturing in the very early part of the week, and then getting more decisive and clear upon in the midweek, we actually start to like take physical action, material manifestation, and start to bring this into reality. Now, are we going to know exactly how to bring it into reality? Not necessarily. That's sort of the page. The page can be sometimes, first off, he's the Page of Pentacles, so he can sometimes be slow because of that Pentacles energy. It's a little bit more methodical. It's a little bit more slow. But we also see that sort of methodicalness in that Empress, right? She's going to be a little bit methodical because of that Taurian energy. Although she doesn't really let that slow her up, because love, the Venus energy, pushes forward probably over the Taurus energy. But when we're looking at the Page of Pentacles, to me, I feel like yes, there's room to learn, there's room to grow, there's room to experiment with pages. Pages sometimes bring new messages, new thoughts, new ideas with them too. So there might be a new inspired idea that is in the very burgeoning stages by the week's end, right? But we've gained that idea, or the actual materialization of that idea, or the beginning steps of taking action towards that idea and manifesting it through holding this high sort of standard in the early week and the midweek through this Empress and this King of Swords, right? To me, that's what this feels like. Then the fun part begins at the end of the week, when the page begins to start to take steps towards actually making whatever it is we desire, and each one of your desires is going to be different, into actual fruition, right? The one thing I like about this too is we have this giant tree in the foreground around this cat, and he's reaching up into the tree to get this pentacle, and we see that root system going down into the tree. The tree represents sort of the idea of the physical manifestation of whatever our ideas are, the growth of that and the strength of that. So as we sort of focus on that, play around with that idea, have some enthusiasm, some fun, some joy, focusing on more the brighter side of life. That's also the birds to me, the flowers, all of that, the sunlight that's in this card that we don't necessarily see in the first two cards. That pentacle is certainly beaming. If we allow that to be kind of our attention or our intention at the end of the week, I think we're kind of set up for something really fun, exciting, and hopefully joyful, as we pursue whatever the goal may be. Sometimes the Page of Pentacles can be about, getting small bits of information piece by piece. I don't feel that with this card at this time. To me, this card feels actually rather optimistic. I don't know if it's the sort of brightness and the sunniness around that pentacle and all the birds in the tree, but I really do feel like there is something like a new day is dawning, or a new opportunity is dawning, a new financial something could be dawning. But it feels like something that maybe in the beginning of the week we were sort of nurturing at the very beginning quietly through that Empress, and then really getting clear with that King of Swords, and then the page starts to actually have the fun action-taking steps of doing it in the world, if that makes sense, okay? Let's see what the Empathic Oracle has to say. And again, like I said, you'll have to apply this where it fits best in your life. This doesn't necessarily, too, material pentacles doesn't necessarily have to be about just solely, monetary things. This could be about, anything in the sort of physical world is how I look at pentacles. It kind of broadens the meaning of the card. So it just certainly can represent money or finances, jobs, careers, things like that. But it can also be, the beautification of our home, or the development of stronger friendships. Like, I look at it in that way too. Or maybe it's a romantic relationship, or we want something like that in our physical reality. So we start to manifest that. We may not know exactly all the steps, but we're willing to learn and stay clear on what it is we need. So, I mean, the Page of Pentacles, pages do sometimes represent like messages, but I don't necessarily feel like this is so much an offer of love as much as maybe us creating it. If there's those of you that are out there that are looking for love at this time, we're starting to like get real about, practical about, okay, if I had a partner, what would I want them to look like, kind of thing. Does that make sense? So for those of you that are out there, this doesn't necessarily only mean finances, and then you're like, oh shit, this doesn't pertain to me. If there's some of you that are out there looking for a partner, there's a possibility here that you could be allowing those ideas and those possibilities to become positive and take root and grow. But just give it time and give it attention, and imbue it with that enthusiasm that usually comes with pages, that optimism. All right, so the Empathic Oracle is your story. We've seen this card. We saw this card last week. It is a number 9. It's 54, right? Which represents number 9. To me, 9s are about personal completion. And so when we're talking about story, and this is sort of similar to what I saw last week, because that red ribbon down the center really feels like we're closing one chapter and opening another, right? We might be writing a new chapter in our story, a new way of behaving. I think that this Empress and this King of Swords energy is also new for us. There might be some of us, like myself included, right, where old things or old situations used to get under our skin more, or affect us more, throw us off of our center. To me, this your story feels like we might be coming to a completion with that and changing that, right? There might be a way where we're actually acting with more maturity in a more present-minded space, especially by the midweek with that King of Swords energy, that we're able to then have fun in that Page of Pentacles and rewrite how we go about doing things. It really is, if you think about it, the dogs are going nuts in the other room. Hold on, I gotta yell. You guys, cut it out, please. It sounds rowdy. Can you relax, please? Sorry, they're like having a wrestle fest. My bed's gonna be torn up when I go in there. All right, so where's that going with this? So I sort of feel like there's an exuberance and an excitement with that Page of Pentacles, and that may not be how we normally create, right? And it's also like, let's be honest, this has been a rough year, and maybe we're not necessarily feeling so optimistic. I feel like by the end of the week, we actually will be, right? There is optimism in the Empress, and there is optimism in the King of Swords, but they're definitely much more adult or mature, measured, careful, all of that energy. That Page of Pentacles feels more youthful, exuberant. Who knows? Some of you could be getting some sort of word about something new and exciting that you didn't see coming by the weekend, that opens up a new chapter to your story. And that's wonderful and great, right? So the grounding stone for this week is on carnelian, which is obviously the first chakra, right? And I don't think we've seen this. Have we seen this stone? I don't know. It's going to be sideways. It's knowledge. I feel like there's certainly knowledge in that King of Swords. There's also knowledge in that Empress. We have learned something somewhere along the way. I feel like when I look at all of this group together, especially with this knowledge stone, it says to me that something has shifted in this, especially with that Your Story card. Like a chapter has turned, a position has changed, a viewpoint within us has maybe altered, or we've learned something different. And from doing that and holding that in the present moment of that sort of King of Swords, we're able to take this knowledge, right? And open ourselves up to learning something new through this Page of Pentacles. Does that make sense, right? So, and in doing that, right, when we act from that sort of unknowing of the Page of Pentacles, or the newness of the Page of Pentacles, the exuberance and enthusiasm that brings about, we also open up the gates for new knowledge, right? In how we operate, how we deal with things, what we'll put up with, what we'll exchange for, our time and our attention, um, how we go about creating things, where our, positive thoughts versus our negative thoughts. Whatever this is for you, this knowledge will continue to grow throughout this week, and it will deepen. And we need to understand that everything that we're going through right now, whatever that may be, is a process to gaining this greater knowledge. And as we ground into this knowledge of who we are in the sort of present moment and what we're capable of giving ourselves, the clarity we're capable of maintaining, the nurturing that we're capable of giving ourselves through that Empress card, it sets us up to be almost excited by that Page of Pentacles energy, that newness, that new chapter that we see that's changing over. The 9 energy of the Your Story is we are ending some sort of a chapter, some sort of a, state of being, like I'm just going to use this as an example. If some of us have been really freaked out by COVID and things like that, maybe now is the time where we sort of step away from that. Not that we're not careful and not that we're not being responsible, because I definitely see that responsibility in the Empress and in the King of Swords, but I also feel like we're not allowing that to hinder us or hold us back by the time we reach that Page of Pentacles energy. There's this opportunity for creating new again. We haven't lost that. And we have some semblance of a new knowledge or an awareness around that we can continue to grow throughout this week and take with us into the future. That is your forecast. Sorry, it is a bit long. I hope that makes sense to you guys. Please leave me a comment. Ask any questions if you feel the need. I might be able to answer them for you. Again, you can, please hit the thumbs up button or hit the subscribe button if you feel so inclined and want to see further readings from me. And thank you to everybody who supports the channel. I really appreciate all of your, daily views, and those of you that show up with me every morning to watch. And I just want to say thank you guys, because I really like doing this and I want to continue to do it. And so with each and every one of you, it really helps me feel like I'm serving a purpose. So I want to say thank you to all of you about that, and go out, be smart, enjoy what you know, and write your story as you go. Have a great day, you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.